Hello, Justice.
Yes, I can hear you.
You're welcome. We are going to talk on Python class. So the introduction of Python class. Python is a programming language, object-oriented programming language that uses objects to structure and organize a code. Objects represent a real-world entities that contain both data attributes and behavior method. Class are blueprints or a template to create objects. So to define a class, we use a keyword called a class. Are you hearing me? We use a keyword called a class. So a class represents a real world entity, meaning that as a human, we belong to an entity, or a species called the mammals, right?
Yes,
We belong to the family called mammals as a human.
yes,
So even the dog has a family called um Canis familiaris, which the dog belongs to. So and for we to um represent an attribute or a method inside the mammals, the way the humans behave, the behaviour of humans is different from the behaviour of a dog, right?
yes, correct. Yes,
Yes. The humans has its own attributes. The human can walk, can run, can talk and all that. E can stand. But the dog has its own attribute, right?
yes,
But in mama's family, we as a for in mammals we have a class where we belong to, which we always reference to mammals. So under the mammals, they still have other animals. You remember? They still have other
yes,
animals that look like the human, have similar behavior and attributes of human, right?
yes.
Still the same way the dog family has. So that is how we can represent a real world entity um to class in programming language. So to define a class, we use this keyword called class, and we write the name of the class we want to define, the name we want to give it. But to me, we are giving it dog, and the name we want to give is dog. We can also define it as human. If we want to talk about human, we can also write it as human. Then the species they belong to and all. So now create an attribute to create an attribute, we have to assign the family they belong to. We can give it to we can change this to family, the species to family, or we can leave it as species then write the family they belong. So we want to give an attribute of to share all the instance of um this species or the dog attributes. So we name the class, the dog name, the species, which is the attributes, then the constructor method. When they say method, constructor method, the way to initialize the instance of the attribute. Now, first of all, we declare the attribute. Now we want to construct a method which we are going to follow to arrive to the program we are programming on. Now we use the def in our function, we use def to declare a function, but in class we write the class followed by the def. Now this underscore slash init is known as initialization. Initialization. Then this sef is e just like um let's say an attached parameters. Dis sef make dis constructor or make up dis method, the sef make up dis method. It's a must that you must put sef in constructing a class. So we are going to pass in a parameter which the sef always come first. We put sef, then the parameters. We want to name the dog. Maybe we want to name it any name. So we are going to pass the name of the dog. We are going to pass the name which we use sef dot name and also assign it to name. Then the age, we use sef dot age equal to age because this sef we will always attach it with the name, anything we want to pass. Okay, still the same. Now we want to declare an instant of a method. This is the constructor, and when we are declaring a constructor, we initialize. Now we want to declare an instant. An instant is just the behavior. We want to define the behavior. We are defining the behavior. So the behavior of a class, maybe we want to describe the class. Now we want to describe it, we use the def, then the name we want to give it, maybe description, then we pass in the sef. We pass in the sef in the sense that we want to call the name we have already passed in, we want to call the age, so that we want to know because we are describing the dog. So we want to describe. Now we want to also use the function called speak, which we are describing how the dog speak. We pass in the sef, comma, and also the sound which the dog make. So now let's run it. Let's see, let's see the hello, hope you are still in class.
Me too.
Okay, we want to see how the dog behave, we want to see everything, the instant of the class. Okay, now we are going to, let's say, call the dog, then or we want to pass in the description of the dog. Okay, let's pass in the description. We say description. Okay, we are passing the description. Let's say the name, let's say justice, comma. We can also name it anything, but I will like to use justice. Then we are going to pass in the age. Let's say justice is 70. Okay. Now let's run our first. I'm connecting. I'm still connecting. I'm still connecting. Okay. Okay, it has connected. Okay. Why? I don't know why it's not running. Why is it not running? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let's name it. Let's give it a variable. Let's say, let's say, dog family. Dog family. Let's name it dog family. Okay, let's change it. Let's call it dog because we are using the name we are giving it dog. Okay, now let's run. It will run now. So now let's call it. Let's see our output. Now let's say dog family. Dog family dot name. Let's say name. Once I run it, okay. I did not give it name. So let me see description. Let's say description. When I call the description, it will tell me Justice is 70 years old. Did you see it? Hello?
Yeah, let me see.
Hope you understand what I just explained.
Mm, yeah, a bit though. I'm still trying to do
Okay, now explain for me now.
a following though, but
Explain for me.
I said a bit though.
I try now. Try.
Okay, I get the idea of I get the idea of trying to bring the concept of class with the idea of relating with animals and their species.
Yes,
So for example, now using the instance of uh, the dog. Now, dog has different species,
yes.
and okay, and yes, just let me I'll just stop there. So I'm just trying to crack around, just
Okay,
move around
let
some
me
other
explain
things.
for you again. Let me explain to you again. I say a class, okay? A class is used to describe an attribute and a method of a person or an animal. Let's say this is an example. So in the class of a dog, dog belongs to a family called the Canis familiaris. Now we want to see their behavior of a dog. We want to know the behavior of a dog. Before we know the behavior of a dog, we have to issue a name to the dog. We also have to issue an age and also tell the system this is the behavior of a dog and this is the way the dog speak. So which we created the constructor. The constructor method initialize the instance attribute, which is the species which the dog came from is a family called Canis familiaris. Now, the dog has a name. The dog has a name and it has an age. Justice, justice. When
I'm with
you
you.
buy a dog,
I'm with you.
okay, when you buy a dog, I think you are going to give it a name, right?
So I didn't get that. I didn't get that part. I think the network was.
Okay, when you buy a dog, I think you are going to give it a name.
Yes, yes,
Yes. And the dog still retain his family, right?
yes. It doesn't change.
Does it change? Right. Good. And his age, right from the day you buy it. Maybe you buy it from after giving birth. That day, from that day to the day you bought it, I think the dog has a age, right?
Yes,
It might be two
yes.
weeks old when you buy it, right? So now, are you hearing me, Justice? Hello, Justice. So, Justice, are you still in class? So, Dominion, Dominion, you are welcome,
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, sir.
David. So, are you following up with the class?
I wouldn't really say so, but I'll catch up. I'll catch up.
So, no problem. Justice, are you back? Okay, Justice is out. Now, um, Dominion, Dominion. Before you came,
Yes, sir.
we were talking about class. So you
Okay, sir.
can mute. So let me explain. So we were talking about class. We gave an introduction to class. We said that class is an object-oriented programming language. That objects of a class that object-oriented of programming of a class is a paradigm that uses objects and structure to organize a code. We said object is a real-world entity that contain both data, attributes, and behavior. So a class is a blueprint or a template for creating an object, and when we want to define a class, we use the keyword called class to define a class. Okay, so I believe with this brief explanation you will get it right. So Justice, you are welcome back.
Thank you. The
Okay,
network. Thank
Justice,
you.
Justice, now since your dog has a name and a age, now I think your dog has a description. We can describe your dog, right?
Yes, yes.
By calling his name and his age. And also, your dog can speak, right?
Yes.
By barking, right? We say the dog can speak through barking. So we can issue the sound which the dog will bark. Okay? So now, since we have already declared this process, now a constructor method, we have already defined the family when we issue the family to a variable called the species. Then the constructor, this is the constructor, the initialization part, when we use the function, def function, then we initialize. And also we say that self is always attached to this class. Self is always attached to it for the parameters. Self is always attached, and also we issue the name, and we say the self dot, we must always call self dot the name because we are passing a parameter. When we want to pass other thing like, okay, let's say, let's pass in other thing, let's say age, okay, let's say um
Guy.
okay,
Oh,
um security, let's say security, let's pass it security. Okay. Now, once we mention the security, we pass in security, we have to call the self and the security. We declare the self dot security. We always call the self. Okay. So security. Now, we want to pass in an instance. Let's say now security. Okay, let's pass the def and we give it a name. Let's say um let's pass um let's say security. Let's say security. Let's say security method. Let's say security method. Then we pass a self. Then we print. We can print. Let's say print f. Now we call it this name. Can dictate. Let's say dictate crime through. Now we call it the sound. We call the sound through backing, right? The dog can dictate through backing. Now, when we want to call the dog, we call the dog, we pass in the name, and the security. Okay, the name and security. Name and security. Okay, so let's see. I'm coming. Okay, I have an error. So I'm coming. I have not put this kernel. So now the error has gone. Now, okay. So we want to check our uh, output. So we call the dog name, we assign it to a variable. Now we declare a variable called the dog family. Then we assign it to the dog family, then the name dog. Then we pass in the name, the age, which is 70. Then the method we call it the method we call it description, speak and security method. So now let's run. When we run it, I'm coming. I don't know why it's okay. Security. Okay, I'm not supposed to pass in this. I'm not supposed to pass in this, but I just show you an example. So so now because I've already cleared this, so let us use this. I'm not supposed to pass in that. Now it's not working. So I've already assigned everything. I gave it a name and a age. Now when I run it, it will run. Now I want to print out the description. You see, Justice is 70 years. Now let's print out how the dog speak. How it speak. Okay. Now let's say dog family dot speak. Let's say let's issue anything. Let's say wow, wow. Okay, now let's run it because we pass in what the dog speak. You see, the dog's justice say wow. Did you see it? Hello.
Yes.
Now let's see how the security method. Let's check for the security now. Dot security method. Okay, let's run it. Okay, the security method. I did not pass in the sound. That's why it did not. It gave me an error because I call in the sound here. For the method to for this method security to have the sound, I have to pass in the parameter called sound. Now, when I pass in the parameter called sound, automatically it will bear this instant called the speak. It will bear the instant of speak. Now, when I run it, then I call in this security method. When I run it, I don't know if this has already run. When I run it, I'm coming. I don't know why. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I did not pass in the sound. I did not pass in the sound. Now let's pass in the sound. Let's pass in the sound. Let's say what's not happening. Okay. Let me see. This is how the errors always come. Then you have to debug it. Try to look, observe what you are reading. So now let's see. So let me remove the sound. Let me remove the sound. Let me remove the sound. So now let me pass in the security back again. Let's say command security. So let's pass in the security back again. Let's say security self dot security then security. Now so then I have to when I run it, I will call in the security self dot let's say security dot or self.security. Now I have to pass in the security. Let me run this. I have to pass in the security. Okay, comma. Let's say security run. Let's say run or back. Let's say run. Let's say run. Let's use run because in terms of security, duck and run. Okay. Now my function is working, right? Now let's see the security again. Let's run the security. Let's see. Okay. Justice can detect crime through run, or we can say through running. Okay. Through running. So did you see how I solve it? Did you see how I solve it, Dominion?
Yes, following gradually.
Okay. This is how we can perform a class. This is how we can perform a class. Now let's work on another, let's say another behavior, or let's work on another thing. So I want to write an attribute. I want to write an attribute of you, Dominion. Dominion.
Yes, I'm here with you.
So I said I want to run an attribute of you.
I said I want to run an attribute of you.
So
Okay, sir.
now let's see. I want to delete all this. I don't like all this. I want to delete it. Oh, let me open it again. I'm coming. I'm still in class. So I'm coming. Okay. I'm coming. Okay. Let's create something again. Now we want to create an attribute, a class. Now for us to name a class, we call it class. Then we pass it. Let's say um, Dominion. Let's say Dominion. Then we pass it the def, or no, let's say the species. Let's assign a species or family. Let's say family. is equal to, let's say, the human family. Let's pass it the def. Let's say, okay, the def, we pass it the init function, the initialization function, then we say init, then init, we pass it the self, we say self, comma, the name, the age, we say self dot age dot name is equal to name. We call it self again dot age is equal to age. Then let's pass the description of dominion. We say dominion def dot, let's say, description. Let's say self. Okay, self, because we are passing the description. So I want I want to also issue the age, the occupation. Let's say, let me pass in the occupation, nationality. Okay, so I have to pass in the self dot a occupation. So it's equal to occupation. We say self dot nationality. We always pass in the self, because that is what we always use. That is what we always use. Passing the self, we say equal to, okay. Now education, let's pass in education. Self dot, let's, if we pass in the family, you already have a family. Let's say um education. Okay, then we can pass in the education here again, because whatsoever we pass in, we are going to call it education. Now we want to describe um you. Now we are going to say print format. We are going to call it your name, self dot name. Then we are going to say name. There's justice is, let's say is, Mm, justice is let's say justice has a name. Justice. Let's say, can you give me a sentence which I will use? Justice. Dominion. Dominion. Can you give me a sentence
Yes, I'm with you.
with using this name, age, occupation, nationality, and education?
Okay, a name, right?
Yes, using it. So describe. You
Let's
describe.
sorry, I didn't get you. I should.
Use these parameters: name, age, occupation, nationality, and education to describe yourself. Dominion.
Okay. All right. In the string value, you can write my name is. Then you call the name.
Okay. My name is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then self name. Then I am.
Um, then pass it the self dot age. Okay.
Then full stop. I am from nationality.
Okay. I'm from nationality. Self dot age. Okay.
Uh, okay. This education is it about what I
Anything you,
studied or
yeah,
the
your
skill
study
level? Okay.
and your occupation, you can call it the
I
occupation too.
okay. I'm a student.
Okay.
Yes. Or
Student.
rather, we can just say I have acquired then O level as the education.
Okay. Then passing passing the education.
So yes.
Step dot education.
And then
Data.
occupation. Yeah.
I am a data analyst. Okay. Self dot occupation.
Then occupation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Camille. So we have already passing your description. Okay. Let's give another one again. Okay. Hmm. What are we going to write? Okay, what are we going to write now? Hmm. Okay, speak. Let's just speak. Person. Then Passive sounds. Okay, so let's see how it works now. Dominion. Let's see how our output going to be look like. So we are going to declare about. Let's say about. We are going to declare a variable called about dominion. Then dots. No, we're going to pass in the name called dominion. Then we pass in your name dominion. Okay, we are going to pass in a name dominion. We use a string so that you know it's a name. Then pass in your age. Let's say 27, comma your occupation data analyst. We are going to pass the occupation data analyst, and we are going to see some of the things